Well, Liberal Senator Hollie Hughes will be one of those grilling the ABC and its chiefs tomorrow at Senate estimates. She joins me now. Hollie, welcome to the program. What details will you be seeking? What details will you be seeking from the ABC around its expenditure on The Voice?
Well, I have multiple concerns that we'll be looking at. Unfortunately, we've only got the ABC with us for 2.5 hours, and I'm absolutely sure that that's not going to be long enough with the number of things that we need to go through. There's going to be a raft of issues on The Voice. We know that there were a lot of claims made. So, for example, Dana Morse made a claim on insiders that genocide was ongoing, and yet this was not picked up, it was not stopped, it was not ever corrected. There's been a whole raft of issues around coverage of The Voice, including whether press club addresses were going to be shown on ABC's channels, how much money was spent sending staff to Garma, and there's a few other issues that we'll be looking at tomorrow with the ABC. But this is coupled with, the Four Corners episode at Meg O'Neill's house in City Beach, where they turned up at her place with some activists. On her front lawn. You just touched on Heston Russell, but what they're doing with the legal fees and the number of cases that they've lost. When it comes out to Heston, not only do they have to pay him damages, but they're going to have costs awarded, and there'll also be their costs on top of that. So we're probably looking around $3.5 million plus the ABC has expended on this. And this is when Heston had, simply asked for an apology very early in the piece. But there's also issues around their pay structure and, of course, how their coverage of what's happening in Israel and Gaza at the moment is occurring. So there's a lot to cover, as I said, and only 2.5 hours, and a lot of senators that are going to want to come in and ask questions.
Now, Hollie, you gave a very strong speech supporting Israel in the Senate. I'm going to play a clip of it later in the week. But we are seeing, as you just referred to, this strong bias against Israel by parts of the public broadcaster. What do you want to ask them? Are you going to be grilling the chiefs about why we are seeing this?
Well, just a couple of months ago in a previous estimates, I raised with the managing director an issue with regards to a stringer that they had over there, a producer and cameraman, who we had anti-Semitic tweets from. He was let go after an internal investigation, but no details have been provided on, how much money he was paid or what was the, how that issue was settled with Mr Abu Ghosh. So this is something that we've seen time and time again, and I think we just saw with Tom Joyner calling out the beheading of babies as BS. But we've also got issues with a headline they played about and had up that a Palestinian had been shot when it actually turned out that it was an attempted suicide bombing Palestinian who was shot by Israeli police, and that had to be changed. And this is just an ongoing theme with the ABC. They seem to just have one view of the world, and until it can be proven completely the other way, they refuse to back down, they refuse to correct the record, and they automatically assume that their position is the right one. This is the publicly funded broadcaster. They have to do better. This isn't the first time issues have been raised with them, yet it just seems to be getting continually worse, whilst we're seeing Mr Anderson's salary package now almost double that of the Prime Minister.
Well, and in fact, I noticed that the salary packages are about $32 million over budget this year for the ABC. So, look, we're going to cover this, how the estimates go tomorrow night on the show. Hollie Hughes, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Sharri.